now to talk about um, the lack of conversation in the other 901 groups on reclassification. And, you know, I particularly was a little taken back by how fast the story about the Pennsylvania dispatcher took off. I mean, it was like a California wildfire. Everywhere I looked, it was there. But I'm a little disappointed that there's not a whole lot of conversations about the reclassification. And so, Jim, I was just thinking that we could toss back and forth, like, what do you think some of those reasons are? Why are our fellow dispatchers not talking about it?
I really don't know. I have used the example before that the dispatchers are sitting in the bleachers and not taking part in anything. That you would think that reclassification would be just as important to them as anything else. Now, I had trouble with a couple counties in West Virginia that they harped about salaries, they harped about Social Security and everything else, but I had to remind them that whatever agency that they work under is the ones that make decisions on that. We're not here to make decisions on retirement. We're here to be reclassified and be called first responders as a matter of respect. And that starts it out and get your foot forward. Because look at, I was a dispatcher in the 70s. 911 has come a long way, especially with the equipment they are able to use now. If we had someone to call when I was dispatching and they hung up, well, that was the end of the call. There was no way, unless you already had their telephone number prefixed to what area they were calling from.
Yeah, no, you make a very good point. It is the job has come so much further as far as the technology is concerned. And every phone call that we take is a potential life-saving moment. And that's why man, I'm having a bad, and you're making if I could just take what you were saying and go add to it, everyone's first reaction is, like you were saying, my retirement. I want to retire. And yeah, so do I, trust me. But the point of the reclassification is to try to get that acknowledgement, that respect, that level of respect that you were just speaking of. And also, what really should be driving all of us is, the hope is, with the reclassification, recognizing us as a protective service occupation, recognizing us as part of the first responder community, will open the doors for a more inclusive training regimen, so that the training budget goes from like zero to a respectable amount, so that every dispatcher in the comm center will have opportunities to seek additional training. Throughout my career, everyone's complained about how they would like to see us do better things and do things differently. But yet when we say, well, you went and did this training, why weren't we there? Then they back away and they don't have an answer. So again, this reclassification is really, I believe, what we need to do to try to really move it forward is to show that our motivation isn't money. It's not retirement stuff. Hopefully that will come down the road later, once we, more people recognize, like, oh wait, these guys are right. And now, after we get the additional trainings, and people start to acknowledge us more and more as part of that first responder chain, then those other items can be addressed.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I thought I saw someone that contributed an article the other day that the OMB has come forward and they have made some decisions, or they're moving in our direction on the reclassification. Of course, to me, the OMB was thought of many years ago by a certain president, and I don't know exactly what their claim to fame is, but to be able to call a dispatcher a clerical worker, I challenge them to ask, have any of you ever set foot in a 911 center? And if they would answer it honestly, it would probably be no. But I would like to see them make some changes. And did I read that that was in the works, or did I totally misread that?
Yeah, Jim, I have not seen that. I know our friend Saul from Newcastle County was sharing that the language of the 911 Saves Act was recently put into the National Defense Appropriations Act, which is like basically the military budget, or and that happened in the previous version of the bill as well. But the House passed it with the language in it. But then when it went to the Senate, the Senate passed the bill, and then there's a time, it's called reconciliation, where the parliamentarian, the government professional, who reads over both versions of the bill, and because both versions have to match, and they have to make sure the language is lined up, so it's one bill. And usually what may happen, or what happened previously, is if the Senate doesn't include that language in the bill, then the language gets removed. So hopefully the Senate will add the 911 Saves Act in their version. So during that scrubbing process, which will probably happen in November or December, maybe hopefully this time it'll be able to stay in the bill. And when they pass the National Defense Appropriations Act, then the 911 Saves Act would become law, and then OMB would have 30 days to reclassify us. So it is now July 18th. That's a possibility, but as we saw previously, at the last minute, the language was taken out. So I'm encouraging all of our members to continue to reach out to your congressional delegates, both congressmen, congresswomen, and your senators, to ask them to co-sponsor either S1175 in the Senate or HR 2351 in the House, because the more support we can get and try to pass the bill on its own merit, the better. Obviously, this is another tool that Congress uses to get certain things through, but sometimes these tools don't work. So again, we have to continue our efforts to gain as many co-sponsors as possible, so that the bill can possibly pass on its own merit.
What is the accurate account that we need on co-sponsors? How many more do we need? I'd like to say that thanks a lot to Senator Shelley Moore Capito of West Virginia. I think that I'm not going to take the credit, but yes, I kind of wonder if it went in that direction. I sent emails, I sent Facebook messages, and finally, someone brought it to her attention, and she saw that joining Senator Manchin, who in the national politics right now is a big figure on both sides of the aisle and everything like that. So she joined him, and I really want to thank her and Senator Manchin for doing it in West Virginia, even though we have already became reclassified. And so I'd like to see that many states do the very same thing, because it proves now it can be done.
Absolutely. And that was a good job. It's funny, like you start the email and you feel like you're being ignored. And then all of a sudden, Congress.gov, it pops up that the person you've been writing becomes a co-sponsor, and you don't know if another member of Congress encouraged them or if it was in fact your emails that made that encouraged her to sign up. But at the end of the day, whether it was another member of the Senate or a House member, or if it was the emails coming in from her constituents like yourself, it doesn't matter. She's on the list, and that's one more co-sponsor for in the Senate. So we're up to 16 in the Senate, or 13 rather. I'm sorry, we're at 13 in the Senate, and we're at 116 in the House. Now, Bobby Scott had told Congresswoman Torres that if we got to above 100, or I've also heard 150 was the benchmark that was given, that he would hold a hearing. And so if it were the 150 mark, we're about 34 co-sponsors away from possibly getting a hearing if he were to be a man of his word. And I'm not questioning that. Well, I guess I am. But but if you take what I've heard, 100 or 150, if that was the threshold on 150, we're only 34 co-sponsors away. So that takes phone calls, that takes emails from everyone here as members of the reclassification page, as dispatchers, part of first responders. You should have written at least one email already, and I encourage everyone to try another email, because you never know what might work. When I was down in Washington D.C., I was given talking points, and I kind of followed that, but I also shared a little bit of my own personal experience speaking to the staffers. And basically, I told them that for the last 50 years, OMB has been asking the wrong questions, because they're asking questions that are based on our job being secretarial and clerical. And I said, how nice would it be if they were actually asking questions related to the protective service occupation that we are? And then I said, so that's all this bill is about, is just telling OMB to start asking the right questions. And then we'll have, the member of Congress that you're working for, when they want to write a bill in the future, they'll have better information when it comes to our profession, because the employees, the staffers at the Office of Management and Budget will have the numbers that they were gathering since the bill has passed. So those are the kind of things that I shared with the staffers. In addition to one or two of my personal experiences as a dispatcher, taking a call that I was able to help my caller before the first responders in the street were able to arrive. And I think that combination of explaining what the bill is all about, and what we actually do. That's how I was able to get 4 additional co-sponsors from New Jersey to sign on, um, that that they weren't previously co-sponsors.
I'll tell you, I've taken another angle, and you're going to laugh at me probably, almost like believing, working from county to county. But I have been watching the Sunday uh, programs that different senators, different representatives are brought on, and like Meet the Press and some of the other ones. I have been watching them, and what I've been doing too is after they are on the air about whatever it is they're talking about, I will send them a message and say, I saw you on Meet the Press on Sunday. You were interviewed by so and so reporter and this and that. Now we need you as a co sponsor on the 911 Saves Act. And you never know what kind of results you're going to or that you're going to have from that type of grouping and everything like that. But it could be surprising.
That's an awesome idea, Jim. And you're right. You never know. I mean, you could be emailing them, and again, it's not like harassment. It's just, an email here, an email here. Hey, I saw you doing this. I just want to bring this item to your attention. And then, who knows? I might go on and I encourage everyone to track congress.gov, the website, to check on the co-sponsorships. Any day that you click on, there could be an update of a new co-sponsor. And it could come from those kind of emails that Jim was just talking about. So
something else also, that there's some people that said that they wanted to start out and work in their state by working with their county. Well, we haven't heard any results that much, maybe one or two of a county that has done the reclassification, and now they're waiting on other counties in the state to do the same. I'd like to have an update if there are members of our group that are watching this and listening to it. Give us an update on how it went with your county, if they accepted it or if they didn't, and then ask them why were the reasons that you do not go along with us, and what would it take to change your mind. But our members need to send us messages, private messages, especially if they don't want their name out there because of possibly losing their job or anything like that. We don't want to put anybody in a situation where that might happen. It's just working from county to county and get a hold of your county commissioners and say, this is what this is all about. And some might say no, but then they think, well, maybe we better get on board because it's an election year here and everything like that, and they don't want to be replaced under any circumstances, but they don't want to be left out in the cold of anything that's going on and other people jumping on the bandwagon.
That's a very good point, Jim. And also thank you by talking about that, you reminded me of the midterms. So Congress in November, there'll be a vote on the midterm elections. Are you familiar with who your congressman or woman is? And are they facing a midterm adversary? you know, is their seat up for the take? And if it is, I recommend that you reach out to both the challenger and the sitting representative and ask them what their thoughts are on the reclassification effort, and if they would be willing to support it, and say that your support, your vote, will only go to the person who's willing to support it. And perhaps that might motivate them to suddenly become co-sponsors. Um, so these are things that we have to start working on. And yes, I want to echo Jim's sentiment. We want to hear more from our members as to what's working in your area and what have you found out that did not work. And please, let's remind everyone that we have a library of videos available on our YouTube channel that you can go back and hear what our guests in our Tell Your Story series have learned, and what worked for them in their successful campaign. And Jim and I would love, and Rebecca and the rest of the admins, we would love to actually have another episode of that for anyone in the state of New York. You know, if were part of that effort, you know, please reach out to us, because we'd like to discuss how that happened, how New York beat New Jersey in the reclassification at the state level. So again, so just, you know, Jim and I wanted to hop on. We wanted to talk about, you know, how do we get the classification efforts talked, you know, the topic shared and discussed on the other pages. Why isn't that happening? You know, why are we sharing all these negative stories so quick? You know, why are those stories so quick to be shared? But yet, you know, I don't see too many, with the exception of one of our members, the 911 first responder. She's doing a great job sharing positive stories. And she does share, you know, some negative ones, because we can all learn from those negative ones. I'm not saying we shouldn't be sharing them, but I just want to understand why they're the ones that are so fast to be shared amongst all of us, and why it seems to be so difficult for each other to share positive stories and to talk about the reclassification effort. If you want to, Jim, you want to give me a last few wrap up thoughts on that, and then we have to close out.
The only thing that I'll add to it is, if people have time to do a podcast, they have time to work on reclassification.
Yeah, but if you're going on the other 911 dispatch pages, you know, throw out a success story, or throw out, you know, hey, you know, I see the reclassification being worked on here and there. You know, what are we doing to help with that, or something? And just try to drum up the conversation, you know. So, all right. Well, Jim, I hope you have a good rest of your day. And to all of our members, thank you for being a part of our group. And please share with us what's going on in your local area.